Good morning, folks. It's Dr. Patmos. Here it is, March 2nd, 2026, and the United States is at war. And it's an amazing time right now. And I think this may come as a surprise to some of you, maybe to others, it will be no surprise at all. But the country is very divided. We have a faction of the United States that has a certain perception, a certain mental model, a paradigm. And then we have, and actually, it's only about a third of the country, roughly. And then we have another group that has a completely different view of the same reality. And how is it that people can have completely differing views of the same reality? Well, part of the reason that we have this divide in the United States is depends upon where you get your information. People have this sort of naive belief that when they turn on the news that it's 1964 and they're going to see Walter Cronkite, and the news that they're going to get is news that they can trust, that it's honest and fair and so forth. But that was then, not now. Things have really changed now, and the media, especially social media, but even the major news media, is now in large part owned by private sources. And the media today uh, has biases, and people don't realize how biased the media is. So I asked the question now, it's obvious that a lot of Trump supporters and MAGA people and right wingers um, really like and watch Fox News and believe what's on Fox News. And if you watch Fox News and believe it, I can understand how you would end up on that side of the fence because Fox News presents information in a certain way with a certain spin. And then if you watch other news sources, there are some that spin it the opposite direction that have their own credibility issues. So, how do you know who to trust in the media? Well, it turns out that there are multiple entities, organizations, and methodologies that actually rate and score news media outlets for their bias, how biased they are, and whether or not they lean right or lean left, or are they more neutral and factually correct. And I think you might find this interesting, especially if you are a Fox News watcher. The According to all of the experts who evaluate news, now this is globally, this is around the world, this is not just in the United States, the most trusted, least bias, most objective and fair news media source is the Associated Press. Associated Press is a global organization, and they consistently get the highest scores for presenting news in a fair and factual manner, free of bias. They present the information, they don't put their opinion on it. The next after that is Reuters, and I get a lot of my news from Reuters. Reuters publishes is a very high ranked news organization. Others, of course, are public broadcasting and NPR, which, as you know, is under tremendous assault from the federal government with being defunded. And then the British broadcasting system, BBC. I happen personally to like BBC and Reuters. I check their news a lot, and I think they're pretty fair and accurate. Then there's a middle tier that has, a little less accurate, has a little bit of bias, uh, and that's CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, which tend historically to lean a little bit left. And then there's the bottom of the barrel, the least reliable news outlets that there are. This is the very bottom of the barrel, the most biased you can get. You want to guess who's there? OAN. I don't know what even OAN stands for. Newsmax, MSNBC, and Fox. So, for those of you who watch Fox News and believe that you're getting the truth, you're not. Fox News scores very, very low on the credibility and accuracy and fairness of their reporting. In fact, they reported on they had a whole big thing on the Dominion voting machine scandal, which was it went to court, and they actually were sued and lost and paid a big fine because they made the story up. And during the course of that trial, Fox News executives actually admitted under oath in deposition at testimony that their show should not be considered news, that it is entertainment. Yes, they do have a few segments on Fox that are hard news reporting, but most of their top programming, Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and the other one, they used to have Tucker Carlson, and now they have Jesse Waters. That's entertainment. At Fox News came out and basically said that's not news. That's entertainment, and that's a heavily biased form of entertainment. So if you are trying to sort through the facts of what's going on in the world, and you're getting your information from Fox News, you're getting propaganda. It's not accurate reporting. I confess, I used to watch Fox News, and I thought it was a good news outlet, and I believed a lot of what they said. And one day, many years ago, I'm watching Fox News, and on comes a doctor who's being presented as an expert. And I looked at the guy and I said, I remember this guy from a long time ago. And he was a con. He was a con artist back then. And I did a little more research on him, and sure enough, he still is. And that was when I began to realize. I actually wrote to Fox News and said, "Hey, have you checked this guy's background? Have you vetted his credentials? His credentials are not what they claim." I never even got a response. So, what I'm here to tell you today is that, and I'm being honest with you. We're all human, and we're all prone to, the information we get. We all can be fooled. We can all get misinformation and disinformation. You have to be really, really, really careful about where you get your information. But if you are trusting Fox News, you are being misled. Fox News is not a credible, highly credible news organization. It is the bottom of the barrel. They're feeding you propaganda that aligns with their political interest. And of course, Fox News is owned by one person. It's owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is a friend of and has business interactions and dealings with Donald Trump. Fox News is really Trump's propaganda outlet. It's his Pravda, if you will. So, you may not like hearing this, but step back for a second and just look at the data that I've presented below in the text below and ask yourself, am I being lied to? Am I being gullible? Am I a fool? Am I being told stuff that's not true and believing it, and am I being manipulated? Look, nobody wants to be manipulated with false information. But if you're living on Fox News and you're relying on Fox News, it's exactly what you're doing. You're being manipulated. And you might want to not be a fool.